A lot of people are going to disagree with this, but ranking every Spider-Man movie from worst to best after watching Spider-Man Brand New Day. In last place is pretty easily The Amazing Spider-Man 2. There are some good things about this. Visually, it looks good, and there's lots of cool action sequences, and obviously Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone have amazing chemistry together, but that's pretty much it, because the story of this movie is an absolute mess, and that's not even to mention that it has some of the worst comic book movie villains of all time, like Electro and this version of the Green Goblin. Literally some of the cringiest and worst lines you'll ever hear from any comic book movie character. Now again, I do think everything with Gwen and actually killing her off at the end results in a really powerful and emotional scene, but sadly everything else in the last hour of this movie is just absolutely garbage, so it takes away from this moment. At number 10, I have Spider-Man Far From Home. I love the Mysterio illusion sequences. Those are incredibly cool, and I think just seeing Peter deal with the grief of losing Iron Man results in some good scenes, but overall, I do not like the comedy or tone of this film whatsoever. It feels like a Disney Channel original film in my opinion. None of the humor lands, and it's trying incredibly hard to be very funny the entire time. I really don't care for the setting of this movie, going overseas, taking Spider-Man so far away from New York City. It just feels out of place, and I don't really like how Mysterio actually works into the story of this movie, them pretending he's like some big twist villain and stuff. None of that really worked for me, which is a shame because I do absolutely love Jake Gyllenhaal, but this is just not one of my favorite characters of his. At number 9 is the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. This is just like an incredibly mediocre film. There's some stuff I really don't like the entire Lizard and his plot in this film is incredibly stupid, but I do think they do a pretty solid job at Peter's origin story in this. Again, him and Gwen Stacy have incredible chemistry in this movie. Every time those two are on screen together, the movie's firing on all cylinders, and again, it does look good just like the first ones. I just really never connected with Andrew's version of Spider-Man, honestly, and they're always just a little disappointing to me because I think the writing just holds him back so much. At number 8, I have Spider-Man 3, probably one of the messier movies on this list, but it is just a ton of fun, and there's some really great moments in it because obviously the Sandman is an incredible villain. I wish he was the only villain of this movie because most of the problems in this film come from the studio forcing Venom to be in the film. It's not a good version of Venom. The acting's bad. I just don't like this version of the character whatsoever. But even though I don't like Venom in this movie, I actually think the symbiote itself taking over on Peter, I think all of that stuff actually works really well in this film. And like I said, it is just incredibly goofy. Sam Raimi ramps up the campiness to 100, but it's hard to not have a fun time with this movie, even though it is very messy. And number 7 is a huge jump up in quality. It's Spider-Man Homecoming. I will always defend this movie. I think it is legitimately pretty great film. I love this new take, skipping the origin story, giving us a very fresh take on Peter Parker. I actually really like Iron Man being in this movie. I think it works well with this MCU version of Spider-Man. I also absolutely adore the Vulture. I think Michael Keaton absolutely kills this role. He's honestly probably one of my favorite MCU villains. Like, he's not a really bad guy, not trying to do something insane. He just has this very small plot of trying to steal some stuff to provide for his family, and I love a good lower stakes story, and this gives us some really powerful moments for Peter at the end of this trying to stop the Vulture. Number 6, I have Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie. This is just an absolute blast of a film. It's incredibly campy, but it all works so well. Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin is one of, if not the very best comic book movie villain performance of all time. I'm not gonna lie, on my last rewatch, this did drop a little bit for me. Still a really good movie. Seeing Peter get his powers and experiment with those for the very first time, all of that is just classic. I just don't think it's one of the top tier Spider-Man films, but still really great. Before the top 5, if you love movies, hit that follow button and make sure you drop a like on the video. At number 5, I have Spider-Man No Way Home. After watching this movie for the first time in theaters, I was like, this is the greatest superhero movie to ever be created. But every time I rewatch it at home, it gets a little bit worse in my opinion. There's lots of problems with it, but I just rewatched it again last night to reevaluate it, and there are still so many amazing moments in this, and I think it simply hits 10 times harder emotionally than like Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie or Homecoming. That's why it's higher than those two. Now, the entire first like 45 minutes dealing with Doctor Strange and trying to round up all these villains, I think this is honestly the worst part of the movie by far. I think it's all actually pretty bad. Like, visually it looks terrible, the humor's not clicking here, it just feels off. But the second you get into the apartment and the Green Goblin turn happens, this movie never turns back. Moments like May's death, seeing all the Spider-Man just talk and bond together, and then having like Andrew save MJ, those are such incredibly emotionally charged moments. And then of course you have the ending, which just breaks you every single time. And number 4 is where I have Spider-Man Brand New Day. Don't worry, there will be no spoilers for this movie in this video, but if you want to hear my full spoiler-filled thoughts on the movie, make sure to become a channel member. For a few bucks a month, you'll get to see all my spoiler versions of movie reviews. I'd really appreciate it. But this is really everything I've wanted from a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. The entire tone of the movie is way like darker and moodier, and it works perfectly with everything Peter's going through. I think the way they brought back Ned and MJ and just showing how much losing them has affected Peter hits so incredibly hard in this film. Visually, it's not even funny how much better this movie looks than Tom Holland's previous Spider-Man films. There are some legitimately breathtaking shots in this. The action is absolutely amazing. Like, like the entire hand fight sequence, probably one of my favorite MCU fight moments of all time. Well, yes, there are lots of other outside MCU characters like the Punisher and Hulk and all these other people in here. None of it feels like forced cameos. It just feels like a supernatural connected universe, and I absolutely love that aspect about the movie. Now, before the top 3, make sure you hit that like and follow button if you didn't the first time. But at number 3, I have Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. This and Brand New Day prove that one of the best Spider-Man stories you can tell is him just struggling emotionally and it affecting his powers in some way, shape, or form, because that's what both of these movies deal with in kind of different ways. I love how real Peter Parker feels in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies. Like in this film in particular, he's struggling with relationships, his family, he's struggling with rent, his powers, literally everything is going wrong in this man's life, but it just happens in such a way that you can relate to at least some aspect of him. But even though Peter's arc he goes through in this movie is incredible, I actually think Doc Ock's arc might just be as good or better, because I absolutely love this performance from Alfred Molina. Great action sequences. Sam Raimi goes full horror on some of these scenes, and then of course the very ending scene is just one of the best Spider-Man scenes ever. But at number 2, I have the first perfect 10 out of 10 movie on this list. It's Across the Spider-Verse. This is just an absolutely amazing film. We all know the animation in the Spider-Verse films is absolutely stunning. All the characters and new villains and antagonists like Spider-Man 2099 and the Spot, they're all incredible, but I don't think it's better than number 1, which is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think this is as close as you can get to a genuinely perfect superhero movie. This is really just a perfect story from start to beginning. All the reveals of stuff like Uncle Aaron being the Prowler and all that stuff absolutely hits. The emotional moments are incredible. Just like the sequel, the music and the animation in this film, absolutely mind-blowing stuff. A perfect movie. If you want to hear my full spoiler-free thoughts on Spider-Man Brand New Day, click the video at the top of the screen, or if you want to see my breakdown of what happens at the ending of the movie and my theory about how it's going to affect Spider-Man 5, click the video at the bottom, and thank you for watching.